September the 20th, 1988, was the date of the famous speech on the future of the European community made by Margaret Thatcher. A speech which defines what the British wanted from the European community and shows exactly why our paths must now part. 30 years on, this momentous speech deserves to be remembered and discussed. And where better to do it than from here at the EU Parliament itself. The lady stated that European nations and the UK had much in common, with centuries of shared history, stating that Europe is not the creation of the Treaty of Rome. She spoke of Christianity being the basis for our ideas of liberty and human rights. She also spoke about how the UK had fought for centuries to stop the continent falling under the control of one power. She mentioned the graves of 120,000 British soldiers in Belgium who died in the First World War. Margaret Thatcher laid out guiding principles for the future of Europe. She spoke of willing and active cooperation between independent, sovereign states being the best way to build a successful European community, stating that it would be a mistake to try to suppress nationhood and to concentrate power centrally. It was her belief that Europe was stronger with France as France, Spain as Spain, Britain as Britain, and each with its own customs, tradition and identity. Crucially, she stated that we have not successfully rolled back the frontiers of the state in Britain only to see them reimposed at European level, with a European superstate exercising dominance from Brussels. It was important, in her view, that pragmatic, practical solutions were found for Europe's problems based on sound money, enterprise and global free trade. She most certainly did not want free movement of peoples with unfettered mass immigration. She stated that it is a matter of common sense that we cannot totally abolish border controls if we are also to protect our people from crime and stop the movement of drugs, terrorists and illegal immigrants. Defence was mentioned in this speech, and it was stated that European defence should be through NATO, with European countries actually paying their fair share. Margaret Thatcher's guiding principles for the European community have all been either rejected or failed by the modern EU. Willing cooperation between countries has been replaced by a drive towards a United States of Europe, which assimilates the member states. Encouraging change through sound money has been replaced by endless overspending on wildly ambitious schemes. Europe open to enterprise has been replaced by a dominant, big state, left-wing orthodoxy. Europe open to the world has been replaced by a closed, protectionist mentality. European defence through NATO is under threat from the EU Defence Union. The Bruges Speech set out what the European community should have been. 30 years later, we look back on it and see that the modern EU fails against her guidelines in a catastrophic way. In later years, it was well known that Lady Thatcher became an ardent Eurosceptic. Her landmark speech at Bruges gives us the perfect rationale as to why she did and as to how the EU has failed. Our challenge now is to make the UK a success as a sovereign, independent state outside of the EU. It's a challenge we should look forward to with hope and optimism, in the knowledge that 30 years on from now, our successors will look back at this time and be as glad of our determination and wisdom as we are now of the great lady's speech.